And now for your listening pleasure, here's Polizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. This Old Marketing. Take it away, boys.
Well, hello, my friends. This is This Old Marketing, proudly brought to you by the Hubspot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. Yes, we're professional that way. I'm Robert Rose, and welcome to episode number 398 of our show for Friday, October 20th, 2023. And with me, as always, as he always is, my pal, my colleague, and a guy that I know would be voted in as speaker after at least 2 rounds of voting, Mr. Joe Polizzi. From remote.
I'm from on location.
On location.
in a new place. Yes, as you know, I have 7 books stacked up. So I get my little mic here because I don't have my mic stand. And it's just, people that are podcasters know that sometimes you just have to cobble the best situation possible together. And that's what we're doing. But you should know that we've got Killing Marketing as one of the books in this stack, holding my microphone up to my mouth.
I have been told that it is nothing better than a doorstop. Yeah, so it is. I have learned this over time, so I am so glad. I am so glad.
Killing Marketing is a great book. That was a great book for that moment in time in 2000.
It is a fantastic book. I refer to it often. And it's funny because lately there's been this, sort of move to owned media, to, the idea of marketing as a profit center and all this kind of stuff. And I'm getting that, and I mean, I say this with all really, I truly say this with all due humility, but people will email me that have never seen us, done us, whenever, by basically, never experienced our stuff.
Yeah.
And, they'll say, this is this new cool trend, that I'm seeing where audience building is really like the key and operating like a media company. I'm like, let me recommend a book for you from 2017. It's like that. So yeah, there you go. We're trendsetters, as it were.
That's kind of the way it goes, though, right? I mean, that's
fine.
We'll see it again in 5 years, and we'll see it again in another 5 years.
I'm totally fine with that. I am absolutely totally fine with that. But it is actually an interesting trend where right now, I think it's in large part, and we've talked about this on the show, and I'm sure we'll talk about it today, but this sort of the evolution or de-evolution. In fact, I just had a wonderful conversation this week with our friend Michael Stelzner. We talked about sort of the de-evolution of social media and what's going on there and how it's really changing. And it's, as I said in a piece that I wrote for CMI, social media is becoming less social and just more media, right? I mean, so I think I think the trend is really moving in a direction that we would have seen, right?
It's interesting too. I sent out my Joe Polizzi newsletter today, and one of the stories was about this. I call it a no-link social media strategy. People have used that for a long time.
Yeah.
But basically, how more than ever today, if you link to something in social that takes you off the platform, they hammer you. And what I thought was they would just hammer that tweet or that post on LinkedIn. And
no, they hammer you. Yeah.
They hammer you, like you, the personal algorithm, you.
Yes.
So the idea is, if you are going to be successful with social media, you can't link out to anything on any post anytime. Because the thought was, I would do 3 or 4 posts and I would stay on platform and I would be thought provoking or whatever the goal is for you socially. And then every once in a while I could pitch something. Or I could link to a podcast. No, you can't do that. You have to keep everything on the platform itself today.
That's right. If you expect to get engagement on that platform, right?
That's right.
I mean, you'll get some visibility, but there's no doubt about it. The data just show this. You can see it. Where if you don't link to something in the, and by the way, this is not just Twitter. It's or X, formerly. Now,
did it. They were supposed to go a whole episode with only saying X.
Okay, so here wait. I now get emails from X. I don't know if you see this, but I get emails now, sort of get the, the tweets that you missed kind of thing.
Yes.
The email is from X, formerly Twitter.
Oh, they did not do that.
I swear to God, that's what I'm getting now. Yeah.
Well, what was interesting, this happened, I don't know, probably about a week ago. I received 17 emails at the same time from X, formerly known as Twitter, that all my ads have been approved, that were already approved over the last 5 years of doing promotional ads on Twitter.
My goodness gracious. Well, there you go.
So I said, I think I tweeted it out. I said, well, thank you, X, for letting me know that my ad from 2019 has been approved. That's really good.
Well, and did you make sure it wasn't running? I mean, because that's the other
Watch him probably going to get it's like, oh my God. Pam's going to say, you got a $17,000 bill here from something called X.
Something called X, which, by the way, looks really suspicious. You get a bill from something called X.
Really kind of odd. But even in the articles we'll talk about today, everyone says X, formerly known as Twitter.
I know it's becoming a thing. It's literally becoming the artist formerly known as X, right? I mean, it's fascinating.
But there are a lot of people in our space that they're just deniers. They're X deniers, and they will not accept the fact that it's been changed. And they even they'll say it in my emails to me or whatever. They'll say, I will never use X. I'm only calling it Twitter. Scott Galloway does that too. He's like, I'm not doing the whole X thing. I'm like, well, whatever. You can do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah. I mean, right. You can call it. Yeah. I mean, you could call it Wonder Bread. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I just Wonder Breaded. I mean, we should do that. We should basically rename X to Wonder Bread. Yeah. That's a bit of an aspersion on Wonder Bread, isn't it, though?
I don't know. Wonder Bread is, I mean, it's a little bit high in calories, but it's so soft. It is. It's like the softest bread. Like if you were going to get hit in the face by a loaf of bread, like you don't want
Wonder Bread is definitely it.
You don't want anything crusty.
And when you were kids, this is the old man moment. So when you were kids and you got Wonder Bread in your sandwich, what you did was you rolled it up. You'd like put it in your fingers and rolled it up into like a little doughy ball.
A bread ball. Yeah.
A bread ball. Yeah. And you would make, and you would eat the little gooey bread ball because it was so moist that you could just, anyway, that's gross. My wife would be grossed out.
We're so dating ourselves, but it's nice that Wonder Bread is still around.
Is it still a thing? I don't know this. Okay. All right.
Absolutely. Well, isn't Wonder owned by the same company as Ho-Ho's and Twinkies? Hostess?
You mean Hostess?
Yeah.
Which Hostess? Might be actually now.
Now it's Smuckers.
Smuckers. That's it. That's right. It's now all part of the Smuckers.
So does that mean that Smuckers not only owns the jelly, but they own the bread of which the jelly
somebody needs to call, somebody needs to call the FTC. That's a monopoly.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
That's a vertical. Yeah. That's not horizontal. That's vertical. You can do horizontal all the time, but the FTC's got to get involved. You can't have the bread and the peanut butter and the jelly. You can only have the bread or the peanut butter or the jelly.
That's right. So people are upset about the Activision Microsoft deal. It's actually the Smucker's Wonder Bread deal that we need to be worried about.
I think you're right. By the way, and I haven't, because I'm in North Carolina right now.
Yes.
I'm a little bit not my regular self keeping up with the news. Is there a news speaker to the House at this point?
There is not. No, the rumor is he keeps losing by more votes.
This is Jim Jordan,
vote,
right?
This is Jim Jordan.
State of Ohio.
That is right. Jim Jordan, and some people call him Jim as in GYM Jordan for his lack of forthcomingness, as it were, when it comes to some of the scandals that happened there. But yes, he went up first. He was after McCarthy was booted. He was basically put up as the new speaker. Well, he lost basically. He lost that to the person they put in temporarily. Then when that guy withdrew, basically said, "Yeah, I don't want the job." He then basically said, well, you can vote me in, and nobody likes him. And so I think it was 7 or 8 or 6 or something like that. Republicans.
He was like 6 or 7 votes away, I thought, from getting it. And then, but now he's more.
He's 6 or 7 Republican votes away, right? I mean, so in other words, but then they did a second vote yesterday, and he lost by more votes. And so he's got 2 left.
Not trending the right way.
Not trending in the right direction. No, he's got. My understanding is that there's a maximum of 4 votes that can happen for this before he's out.
So this is not going to happen. It's going to be.
It does not seem like it's going to happen.
Have to step forward.
I mean, it would be I think the first time since the 1800s. I've heard the idea. I mean, we just don't have this concept here in the U.S., so it's a little hard to get our American brains around, but a coalition government, right, where you have the Democrats who could nominate, and I hear the rumor is Hakeem Jeffries, they could nominate him and to be Speaker of the House. If they could get 6 or 7 or 8 Republicans to actually come along with that and say, listen, he's a moderate, we're not going to do anything crazy. We know that you have the majority. That's just, let's just get the bills paid. You could see a coalition government form, and it would put that sort of extreme, dozen or so Republicans to the sideline. And I'd love that idea from an adults in the room kind of thing, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it can. We're just too divided.
It's crazy. Well, look, I'm no Jim Jordan fan, but you have to. I would like to see somebody in place that actually acknowledges the previous presidential election.
Well, that would help.
That's all I'm saying. It's like, I don't think you should have a Speaker of the House that believes that it was fixed.
Or literally, and this is true, by the way, fun statistical fact, at least has either sponsored or co-sponsored one bill in their tenure. Jim Jordan
nothing's ever went through. Like there's been no legislation.
He's never sponsored a bill. First of all, he's never even sponsored one, fail or pass. And then he's been on a couple of names that have bills as a co-sponsor, which is basically they run around and go, hey, would you put your name on this thing? That's a co-sponsor. Yeah. But none of them have passed. Yeah. So he's never passed a bill with his name on it. So I mean, and he wants to be Speaker of the House. I mean, that's just it's just nutty to me.
I'm sure everyone's really happy that this is your new show for political news.
Yeah, well, they're probably happier than that than football, which we're allowed to talk about again, given our last 2 weeks.
We had a good week.
We did. Both of us had two. Yeah, both of us had good weeks. Both of us had good weeks. And it was, I think it was the Taylor Swift movie opening that was really the driver of both of our football teams.
Are you going to go see the Taylor Swift movie?
I am not going to go see the Taylor Swift movie. And I'll tell you why I'm not going to go see the Taylor Swift movie. It's not because I have anything against Taylor Swift or the movie. It is because they are encouraging the kids to stand up and shout and dance and hold their phones up with the lights on and use their phones and take selfies. And they're encouraging a concert-like atmosphere.
You don't like that?
Well, I don't want to go to a movie.
You like your movies antisocial.
Yeah, but well, no, I just don't want to. That's not what I want to do in a movie, right? I want to watch the movie, right? It's
all right. Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is they need a regular, like, let's say that the Late Show is like Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's the one where you can throw the rice and.
But you were going to that, yeah? Yes, correct.
Like 4:00 in the afternoon. That's the old person show.
Well, that's an excellent. Well, no, that's an excellent point actually, because I was one of those people back in the day that went to Rocky Horror like 50 times. Every Friday night we would go to Rocky Horror, and here's what they call a callback, folks. And we would bring Wonder Bread, right? You would bring Wonder Bread and throw it at the screen. So there you go. Didn't even plan that, but we had a complete callback to Wonder
Anyways,
Bread.
We'll talk more about Taylor at the end because that's my rave commentary today. But all I'll say is that I've enjoyed the week, just football related, because I just have a feeling that this might be the best week of the year for us.
It's good. You should enjoy it. Yes, it's good.
I'm not sure this is going to be replicated.
I don't know. I'm telling you, man. Your defense is legit. That is a good defense.
The defense is amazing. That's right. And the fact that we could give away 2 extra turnovers and still win that game.
I'm telling you, you could. I mean, you can hang with the 40 whiners. It's
Tell us how you really feel, Robert.
Yeah, well, there you go. And so, but I will say this as well, which is you're only going to get better on offense. I think that quarterback is. Look, I personally like your backup quarterback than I like your lead quarterback, but that's a whole other thing. And that division, your division, I mean, who's going to take it? It ain't going to be the Steelers.
Everyone has 3 or 4 wins.
That's right.
By record, it's the best division in football right now, which is scary. If you look at that. But anyway,
should we get to a show? Should we get to our actual show here? Actually, get to the news.
We're here.
You're here.
We might as well. You sent me a show flow of things we were supposed to talk about. We might as well.
All right. Well, we do have a fun show planned here. We're going to start by talking about X, formerly known as Twitter. Apparently, they're testing a new subscription feature, and both of us have a bit of a take on that and why they might be doing that. Then we'll talk about. Look, Tucker Carlson, he took our advice. We talked about him at some length and about his X, formerly Twitter strategy, and how that was really not going to work for him for an owned media thing. And look what he did. And then we may talk a little bit about marketers and how they are literally, apparently, according to some new research, on the edge of a nervous breakdown. I don't know. I'm not feeling that bad, but apparently a lot of CMOs are. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And if we have
a corporate role, you're not. I mean, you get to talk to people in a corporate role, but you would know.
I would know. I would know.
I want to hear about your insight.
We'll see how insightful they actually are. And if we have time, we'll talk a little bit. We'll finish up by talking a little bit about like we'd mentioned here, the Activision and Microsoft getting the sort of holy blessing of the UK government to actually merge, and why they should be looking at Smuckers and Hostess as the problem there. Then, of course, we'll get to Rants and Raves, and I will rave a little bit about a new tool on Google that doesn't seem to be getting a lot of press, but it really is very interesting. And then Joe, of course, as he just mentioned, we'll talk a little bit about Taylor Swift and how her marketing is just all that and a bag of chips, as it were.
I think that and I had a little insight on when we mention Taylor Swift in our podcast somewhere, we do better from a download standpoint.
Well, of course. I mean, if it works for the NFL, it's going to work for us.
We're gonna, and so maybe I'm trying to figure out how every episode I can put Taylor Swift in the headline. Even if we said no Taylor Swift this week, episode 399.
There it is. There's episode 399. Taylor Swift free.
It's gonna happen. So,
all right. Let's get to our first story, shall we? And it does come courtesy of us of CBS, although so many mainstream media and other media outlets are reporting on this. Where the headline is that X, again, formerly Twitter, tests charging new users $1 a year to use basic features. The article opens up by saying X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. God darn it. Anyway. It announced Tuesday that it's testing out a subscription model which will charge new users $1 a year to use basic features. The social media giant said it was launching a not a bot annual subscription method in New Zealand, of all places, and the Philippines. So perfect, right? I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah. They're good test markets. I mean,
are they? But are they? New Zealand and the Philippines is a test run. Existing users will not be impacted during this test. It will evaluate a potentially powerful measure to help us combat bots and spammers on X while balancing a platform accessibility with the small fee amount, X said, adding that the charge won't be a profit driver. Well, no, nothing will be a profit driver, quite honestly. I mean, so I definitely have a take on why they're doing this, but I would love to hear yours.
You don't think that this is what he says it is? You don't think
I do
that
not.
This is a
no,
bot?
This is not a bot finder. This is not a bot finder. Absolutely not a bot finder.
Well, I think that if it'll be interesting if it goes worldwide and see how the Philippines test goes. But if it goes well and they do this, it's a really good way to get people to already sync up with their payment platform.
Well, that's it. Right.
And right. That's the thought, that this is ultimately going to be the payments game. Because let's say for whatever, by the way, this article said that Twitter has 550 million users. That's not right.
No,
that's includes the bots.
There may be 550 million accounts.
Yes.
Yeah. But there are not 550 million.
No, there's no way
what the kids in the venture and the Valley call, MAUs, right? So, but I think active users.
But if that was your take, that was my take as well. It's like, okay, well, if we can get for whatever, just to confirm, it's like verification. We're going to verify your account as a human being, and we're going to do so by hitting your account for $1. You get that synced up, all set to go. Let's say that you had come clean with this and have 50 or 75 or 100 million with the payments set up. It'd be a really good test. It's on the way to becoming this. Oh, now I can use Twitter to pay for my Amazon stuff. I can use Twitter to pay for whatever, which is the goal, right? Doesn't he want to be, instead of Apple Pay, he wants it to be pay with X?
Totally.
Thing. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I think, this is clearly now Elon and team, I guess, to whatever extent that exists, looking to get credit card information. And here's the thing. It is more than just so. Yes, the focus here is transforming X into some sort of payment platform. So the benefit is getting accounts. Now we can talk about the uselessness of having it be new accounts instead of making everybody that's on an account do it, which is just basically a hedge against people quitting. So the test here is basically to say, well, will people quit if we make this? If we make people do this? Because how many new people are signing up for Twitter right now? This is not a lot, right? How many? And then you go, how many new people are signing up for Twitter in the Philippines and New Zealand, right?
Well,
that's an exceedingly small number.
But I think there's a younger group of people that continue to sign up for X.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
Well, okay. You do realize that there are young people and they do get older. And as they get older, they may want to sign up for something called X.
I do.
Is a possibility.
I do notice that's true, but I just don't see them signing. So you had me all the way up until signing up for X. I just don't see the young people doing it. I just, and look, I don't have any privy or sort of privileged access to data that no one else has, but so I just don't. My gut tells me that that's not true.
Right,
they're signing up, but they're signing up for Instagram, they're signing up for TikTok, they're signing up for Reels, they're signing up for those, Snapchat, they're signing up for the what the kids are dancing to. They're not signing up for X. X is a that platform is headed south. Well, the net new subscribers has to be exceedingly small.
Well, probably, but a couple things on that. So if you believe that X is there for news gathering, look at TikTok really quick, because I did listen to Prof G episode this morning, and he was actually talking about TikTok is now 28% of people between the ages of 18 and 34 get their news from TikTok, which, by the way, just freaks me out that that's an actual thing, that people are getting their news from a Chinese-owned company. But conspiracy theories aside, if you look at, I've got two examples, my two kids, and they go to X first for their news. That's the first place that they go to for news. And they're younger than us. So
I've heard. I've heard that.
I think that it is still a possibility that X could come out of this being the news, the place where you get news.
Fair enough, but until I will continue with my hypothesis until I see it actually broken, and I have not done a large amount of research on this, but I would guess that it's still true that it's an exceedingly small number of net new. Anyway, the point being, whether or not this is new people or existing people, the primary goal here is, as you pointed out, to get people's credit card information so that they can start more impulse buys, right? So things like, hey, you can leave a tip for somebody, a content creator that can directly come out of your account. They can add a subscription by account, so you can subscribe to a particular account, and those kinds of things. And even then, like swag, T-shirts and marketplace. I could see them very easily introducing like a Facebook type marketplace into Twitter where you can sell your bike or you can sell your old lawnmower or you can do those kinds of things through the platform as well. So I totally see them evolving into that kind of idea, because that's where any money that's going to be made is going to be made. But the other thing that we need to not forget is the amount of data that comes with that. When it comes with the credit card piece, right? It's not just the fact that you now have a payment platform. It's that the data that you can now purchase on, in real markets and nefarious markets with regard to demographic data when you have credit card information is just, it's exponentially more. And so now if I have not only Robert Rose's credit card data, but I also have the ability to look at Robert Rose's purchase habits and what Robert Rose does with that credit card, well, now I can serve up more targeted ads and I can serve up a better ad model. So that's also at play here, although I'm sure they will never talk about that, because that's the privacy problem that Facebook has right now.
Do they have a X credit card?
No, but they could do that very easily.
The X card.
Yeah,
I could see that happening.
Totally. Well, then XPay. You could have XPay, instead of Apple Pay.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, you don't want to. The way to do this, if we want X to be a payment platform, is to set it up so it links with the bank account, not with another credit card account, because then you don't have an extra middle person in that. And X
True, but the risk is much lower with a credit card, both on the consumer side and the vendor side, right?
Yeah.
So the risk is lower. I would
say open it up to all those young people that you don't think are joining X. They could say, you get your first $50 free with the X card, sponsored by, run by Bank of America.
That's common. Yeah, no, that's common. I have to. Who knows what the man-child is doing, but yeah, I have to imagine that that's coming.
The X card, and it's like a square. It's a square with an X in it, or it's thick like a Scrabble piece.
You're already designing the X card,
right?
No. Yeah,
it doesn't have to be the same. There's been no innovation in the credit card industry for so long. Every credit card, it's either they mess with the thickness a little bit, but for the most part, they're all the same.
Yeah, well, my Amex Platinum is that metal thing. That's kind of cool. I
do like that. You could kill somebody with that.
You can. It's like a throwing star. Yeah, it's
Chinese star.
Yeah, it's for real.
Yeah.
All right. Should we pay some bills? Speaking of credit cards, should we pay the credit card bills?
Apologies if we don't get. I think we got this working. So let's start with this one.
Let's roll that wonderful. Here at This Old Marketing, we like our football and football metaphors, and something magical happens when the third quarter ends and the fourth quarter begins. The energy changes. The fourth quarter is where games are won, where champions are made, and in business, it's where sales teams become legends. That's why HubSpot built Sales Hub, to give sales reps the deal-making tools they need to win in Q4 and close the year strong. Sales Hub's prospecting workspace organizes your schedule, goals, and to-do list all in one place to save your team precious fourth quarter time. Smart Sequences help sales reps close deals faster than ever. And with an easy-to-use deal management tool, reps can find, track, and close deals all in one place. Plus, AI forecasting helps you accurately predict future success. That means less hoping for deals and more crushing targets. Put your sales teams on the fast track to winning Q4 with Sales Hub. You can learn more at hubspot.com/sales. let me tell you about a podcast that I think you're really going to love. It's called Marketing Made Simple, and it's hosted by Dr. J.J. Peterson, and of course brought to you by the Hubspot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. Now, Marketing Made Simple brings you practical tips, and it's going to make your marketing easy, and more importantly, well, it's going to make it work. For example, on one of the more recent episodes I listened to, I love that they talk about specific things that you can do in the fourth quarter to make your marketing work. I mean, we all know that the fourth quarter is where things get, well, let's just say interesting, right? But they focused this episode on some practical things that you can do to make the fourth quarter fantastic. Just a great podcast. And you can, of course, listen to Marketing Made Simple wherever you get your podcasts. So go try it out, won't you? It's Marketing Made Simple. That music is my nod to Yaz. That's so. When I did that music, I for the ad, I was like, "Oh, this sounds like Yaz."
Carl Yastrzemski?
No, Yaz. Yazoo. Come on,
Yazoo.
You do Upstairs at Eric's. Oh,
I don't know.
It's one of the classic 1980s albums. I mean, all your Gen X friends right now are yelling at you right now.
I don't know.
I can tell you that.
You don't know Yaz. Yeah, I was listening to
Alison Moyet. Come on,
Billy Joel and Barry Manilow.
Yeah. No. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, your Gen X card was just revoked, my friend.
No, when I went to Marketing Pros B2B, and we went to a dueling piano bar.
Okay.
And I requested Mandy by Barry Manilow because one of the greatest songs ever. Of course.
It is. It's a great song.
And he kept playing it and asking people to put any kind of money on the piano so that they would stop playing Mandy. And nobody did. Nobody did. Because
that's funny. That's good comedy right there. But on both sides, right? On his side and the fact that it was a test of wills.
So when you I'll have to look this up, but when you said yes, I was like, what is Carl Yastrzemski, Hall of Fame Boston Red Sox player, have to do with that music? Yeah, no, it's Yaz. Is that your music? Did you make that?
I did not make that. No, I did not. But when I heard it, I was like, this sounds like Yaz. So I'm gonna go with it because I Upstairs at Eric's is one of my favorite albums of all time, and I listen to it a lot. Upstairs at Eric's, yes.
Upstairs at Eric's. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Is that kind of like Enigma? Is that the same?
Oh man. Oh no. Oh gosh.
I had some great times to Enigma. That was Enigma, right? We're on the same. Yeah. You know me. I mean, you know music a lot more than I do. So we should do a music show.
As soon as you hear there's two major hits off of Upstairs at Eric's, you're going to go, oh right, I know this song. I guarantee you're totally going to know it.
I saw your post. I don't know whether it was Tom Webster or whatever, where you said the artist of your formative years was David Bowie. Right.
That's right. Is that David Bowie and Kate Bush were my two formative year artists. Yes, among others.
That says a lot about you.
Yeah,
it really does. It does, and it says a lot that mine were Billy Joel and Barry Manilow.
There you go.
All right, what do we got?
We got yes. There? Well, apparently Tucker Carlson took our advice. About I don't know what it was 4 months ago, basically right after he got fired, and started this new X, formerly Twitter show. He basically came out and said he was going to have this show, and then kind of faded into the background a little bit. But as it turns out, according to Axios, is what we'll link to in the show notes, of course, and the headline is that he raised $15 million for a new media company. And there he is on the front page of Axios, looking smug. And basically the article opens up by saying Tucker Carlson has raised $15 million to grow his media company. A source familiar with the deal tells Axios. Carlson's new venture is expected to center around video. I don't know how, so this is pet peeve, total grammar pet peeve of mine. You can't center around something. You center on something. Anyway, center around video. Some of that will be shared via social platforms like X, but he'll also launch his own website and app, as Axios previously reported. Carlson owned and operated platforms may include a subscription paywall. How about that? The money comes from 1789 Capital, which was founded by banker Omid Malik to invest in anti-ESG companies. Of course they did. And basically then it goes on to a little bit
about... You wouldn't want to do pro.
Of course not.
Anti.
Of course not.
Yeah.
So basically... the interesting thing here, there is one interesting data point that the Omid Malik, the 1789 Capital, and Carlson apparently have quite a long history. The former banker once backed the Daily Caller, which Carlson co-founded in 2010, so almost 13 years ago or whatever. And then he led a blank check company, the sort of whatever they call it. The memory is blanking here. That acquired a company called Public SQ, a quote unquote anti-woke online marketplace. So Malik's politics are pretty
clear. I like the name. Did you see the name for the media company, for Tucker's media company? Like the holding company? It's called Last Country.
Oh, there you go. No, I did not see that. Oh, there it is. Yes. It registered in Nevada, of course.
What does that mean?
And the name is
Last Country. What do you think? What do you think? Last Country. We're not even going to go there. This is not a political show. Stop trying to drag politics into this, Robert.
No. Yeah.
You need to stop. By the way,
I'll go to Undiscovered Country, which is a Shakespeare quote, and also, of course, a
Star Trek
title of a Star Trek movie. Yeah.
Okay, but so maybe it is correct by saying center around video, because if it's centered around video, it means it's not centered on video at all. So maybe it's a text-based media company.
Okay.
Right? That would be the correct usage. If you center around it, you're not centering on it. You're around it. You're like, just in case video pops out, we're going to be around it, but we're not going to center on it.
If you could see Joe's jazz hands right now, you would all be disturbed.
I'm playing defense.
Yeah.
This is defense. This is defensive look. Okay.
What is your take? What is your take on this? At first, is this him really going to launch like a full on integrated media company, or is this basically what I thought was really interesting about this, and the reason I wanted to cover it on the show is because to me this is so much the trend right now, where influencers, creators, whatever we end up calling them, are themselves really disrupting the idea of social, with TikTok and with owned media. And, you built a whole company on this idea. And this to me is the more mainstream trend of it, where this is happening actually in Hollywood. And I think this has ties to the strike. I think it has ties to what's going on in big media versus small media. So is this small media sort of is this a booming industry in the coming months and years?
I think it has been. I think this has been going on, and a lot of people haven't been paying attention to it. We've covered some of this on the show, but this is what I think about Tucker Carlson. This is a very good move from a business model perspective. Tucker will get his big fans, his major supporters, his super fans to come over and will pay for whatever Tucker has to offer. But Tucker will not be as well known going forward because it'll keep it very small-ish. He's not going to have the, 10, 20 million people.
You don't think he's going Joe Rogan viral?
No, absolutely not. I think this is niche. I don't know if Tucker realizes this, but when I looked at this and when I read this, I said, wow, this is a very sound content entrepreneur business model. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
we're going to have a core, whether they center it on or around video, we don't know, but some kind of regular video subscription. He'll have something that's free in order to draw some new fans in, but for the most part, he will be getting money from the people that already love Tucker.
Yeah,
and that's a tried and true method, and it'll work really, really well. But it's interesting. It brings up. I talked about this in a couple different places, but Fareed Zakaria was talking to Prof G about his overall goal. Like Prof, I don't know.
I heard
did
this,
you see that? I thought this was really interesting. Prof G said, "What's your career business man?" Fareed Zakaria, for those people that don't know, CNN global journalist. If you go into any airport in the world, you'll probably see Fareed Zakaria talking. So very, very well-known person. And Fareed told Prof G, said, my goal is not to make the most money or to have something available for my personal subscribers or super fans. That's not the business model I want to make. I want maximum impact, which means I might have to sacrifice revenue for notoriety to make more of an impact to more people. That's what Tucker was doing.
That's right.
Tucker was doing that, but now Tucker is moving away from that and going more toward I'm going to build this little mini media company, make lots of money, build out an asset that I can do whatever I want with and sell, but will lose the notoriety that Tucker had by giving it all away for free, or
which is
a larger platform.
Which is the surprising part of this, right? Because look, Tucker could have funded this himself with his couch cushion money, right? I mean, $15 million to Tucker is nothing. I mean, he comes from a no. He comes from a very
you're talking
wealthy
about
family.
The money.
Yeah, he's
money
a very wealthy man. Yeah, and it comes from a very wealthy family. So this is not. So for him, it's surprising to me that he wouldn't go the other way, like with the way Fareed, like he wants to make a big impact and be a big celebrity, that he would go toward this. I too agree that it's a smart move for him. And, I could see him using this as a stepping stone to get back into a higher reach situation. In other words, this becomes sort of a new platform he can build that then becomes a stepping stone that he could probably keep, by the way, and then focus his attention. It'll be really interesting to see the content here. I mean, it gave, the spoiler alert was, sort of duly in motion when we see who's funding him, who's giving them money, et cetera. I mean, like I said, their politics are pretty clear. They wear it on their sleeves, but it'll be interesting to see what his angle is with this new media company and how he sort of presents things, because he's either banking on that kind of media becoming like a thing where he can become an alternative to, basically a launch of an alternative to Fox, as it were, or he could go a little more mainstream and see if he could, become an anchor or a talking head on another network somewhere. Yeah. So and then have both, right? Have his private thing as well as the impact thing, and be, not to put too fine a point on it, be a little bit like a Ryan Seacrest, right? So Ryan Seacrest, of course, that guy never stops working, right? I mean, he's just doing so many different things, from small level media and podcasting to, big things, right?
Yeah, I could definitely see. I mean, Ariana Huffington did this with Huffington Post. It's not too. I mean, and then just built it up, and then was. I mean, Ariana just kept on the speaking circuit to keep enough of her persona out there, but she wasn't writing as much as running the business. I think that what Tucker does with this one might create a couple different channels, bring in a couple more people over, package it up, sell it in 3 to 5 years, and then go do the thing that you talked about and because right now that it is not a seller's market for that kind of a model right now. The free COVID money is gone. The free growth, the low interest rates, that's not coming back for a while. That's from what I can tell. So but it always does. So 3 to 5 years, maybe it's time where that model would be great. He can flip it and do whatever he wants to, be successful media mogul, if you will. The one thing I would say about not using his money is some entrepreneurs out there don't believe in using their own money for their own launches. So that he could be in that boat and say, I'm not using my own money.
Oh, I'm sure that's exactly
other money out there.
No, I'm sure that's exactly what he's doing. Is that he's like, you mean you want to give me $15 million to do what I do normally, and let me run it, and you're just going to give me $15 million? Of course. I mean, he would be a fool to say no to that. I mean, it's just basically, does he feel like working, right? I mean, and to your point, he can start to build that in and attract other talent and start to build it up and build into a thing where he starts to foster those things where it starts to, becomes a fly. And, how often have we talked about this as the business model, right? Where it becomes a flywheel and you sort of work yourself out of a job and it sort of just works without you, right? It becomes your brand, like Huffington Post, right? It becomes your brand, but you don't have to work that hard. And if he doesn't have to work that hard and he has a big piece of it and he can turn it around and flip it at some point, then, yay for him. It's a good deal.
What kind of currency does last country accept? That's what I want to know. Like, what if you're the last country? I mean, I'm serious. Is it gold bullion? Is it 1945 nickels made out of silver? Is it cryptocurrency? I want to know. Sorry.
It's not going to be crypto. I'll guarantee you that.
Watch, it may be. The tide is turning on that.
The undiscovered country from those born, no traveler returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. That is Shakespeare, my friend.
Oh my God! See, you're too smart to be on this podcast. I don't know why.
All right, let's move on to our next story here. This one is fascinating. This one is just fascinating, and there's a good reason we saved it for the end here. This comes to us courtesy of Media Post, and this I've read this thing like a few times and just fascinated with the data here. So the headline is that MediaLink finds marketers on the verge of chaos, growing increasingly cynical. It opens up with a chart basically that shows the cynical indicators among top CMOs, and basically 74% say they're pessimistic about growth prospects. 68% are worried about becoming figureheads, 45% worry about compromising core values, and 22% say ethics is a top priority. So it's fascinating. The article opens up by saying top marketing executives are growing increasingly cynical about their own roles, as well as the overall direction of their marketing organizations. This, according to findings released this morning by industry consultant MediaLink. 3/4 of 400 senior marketing executives surveyed last summer, so I guess that would be 2022, that they are pessimistic about their business's growth prospects, while nearly a third, 31%, say they are very pessimistic. In its analysis of the data in the just released 2024 edition of its Marketers Forecast report, MediaLink's analyst attributed the increasing negative sentiment to the scale of challenges confronting big marketers, including an uncertain economic environment, fundamental changes in media and marketing technology, such as complexity associated with the transition to AI. The quote from MediaLink CEO is, "In this era of perpetual disruption, we are living through another profound and radical shift. AI knocked on our door yesterday, took out the metaverse overnight, and infiltrated everything. Inflation skyrocketed to its highest rate since the 1980s and is barely cooling. Creators gave rise to a new economy. The climate crisis accelerated to a 20-year warning to imminent concern. Culture and commerce became capital." I could go on. He could go on. But he says he could go on. The pace and fury of change could provoke chaos. If you haven't noticed, I'm a little, as the kids would say, this article's a little sus to me. But
first of all, it's a little sus because it's middle of 22 data, and it's a Marketers Forecast 2024 is the name.
Right.
So what are we doing here? Are we doing research? Are we doing timely stuff? This is not news to me. Marketers are always this is my take, and you work with marketers more than I do, but in my history of working with CMOs and senior level marketers, they're inherently negative people because they always feel like they're going to get fired. And it's true, because the average timetable for a CMO, and that's been talked about forever, is less than 2 years. So you get a job and you already know that you're going to work yourself out of a job. You're always like, well, you're looking behind. Who's going to take my job? And who's going to take your job today? They think it's going to be AI, or it's going to be high interest rates or whatever. So I feel that this is totally non-news. And it's just, here's what I'm blaming my concern about life right now on, these things. And if you do it in 12 months, it'll be 3 new things, or 3 different things, probably AI, and then 3 other things. And then you'll do it the same thing. So that's the way that I took it. I'm like, of course. Have you ever met a CMO? I mean, we've met a couple, but we've met
I've met many. CMOs, yeah, right.
The CMOs that I'm thinking of right now that are very positive, they got fired. Like they didn't last very long.
Of course. So well,
they didn't live in the real world.
Right. And so the veteran CMOs that I know, and then I definitely have a take that's similar to yours. The CMOs that I know that are veteran CMOs that have been around understand now that the CMO position is a temporary one. It is not one. It is basically one that you are meant to come in, facilitate change for a while, and then leave. In other words, now we can have a healthy debate whether or not that's smart or whether or not that's just conventional wisdom that is, a flawed level of human thinking that needs to change. But that's the reality that what happens. And what I actually wrote this in a piece that I did for CMI 2 weeks ago. There was a similar study that came out of a consultancy in the UK that talked about the value of brands and marketing to financial analysts, right? So those who actually look at the valuation of companies. And the interesting headline coming out of that research was that financial investors, basically investment analysts, now look at marketing and brand strength as the top level of how they value, more than the employee satisfaction, more than the technology innovation, more than just any other sort of category. Marketing and brand strength is the number one predicator of how they look at their financial analysis of a company. But then they go on to talk about how moving things quickly, cutting marketing budgets, cutting brand budgets are all good, positive signs that a company is taking its financial health seriously. So it's like, how do you square that, right? And then how do you square it with this sort of cynicism that you've pointed out isn't really news? That these are CMOs that know this. The way I look at it is right now, in the context of all this change, of the context of all this, quote unquote chaos of AI and technology and automation and economic uncertainty and all of that. Businesses, and this is the truth that has been the truth for just about ever. Businesses love marketing and branding, and businesses hate marketers and brand builders. And so it is, while things are in progress, while things are being built, it is really hard for business leaders, CEOs, financial analysts, CFOs to trust marketers and brand builders. And so thus the positions become highly, highly ephemeral. But if it's there, like if you get to the level of an Apple or a Nike or a strong level of brand, all of a sudden the brand is amazing. And yeah, the marketers, the CMOs, they just benefit from that strength. So it's like, it's hard to have it both ways. And CMOs are very right to be sort of annoyed by that, to say, hey, I was the one who brought you here and built this brand. And now that it's wonderfully strong, you're just saying that I get to benefit from this brand strength. But while you're in the process of building it, it's like, now we're just going to cut marketing budget because that's the easiest thing to do to maintain viability of our organization. So it's a frustrating place to be, but that's the job. That's the reality. That's the job of being a CMO and a marketing leader right now, is that you have to put your head down, get into the arena, move, pivot, play defense like you were just doing, and do all the things that you have to do to deal with the reality. Because, and honestly, to me, I look at all those things that guy, that MediaLink CEO listed out, the AI and the metaverse and all those things. That's what makes things interesting. That's what makes everything about this so interesting, is the opportunity for change and learning and taking out all these things. So I don't get cynical about it. I just get inspired by it, right? Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough, but the journey is what's so great here. That's that's my Rudy speech. My Rudy for marketing.
No, as you were doing that, I had there was music playing in the background. It felt like Rudy type music. Rudy was doing this. It was the point in Rudy, you know what it is.
It's my Mel Gibson speech. They all dropped
their jerseys on the tape.
It's my Mel Gibson speech. They may take our lives, but they will never take our freedom.
Oh, you gotta that's gotta be the cover of this episode with you with half of your face painted blue.
Yeah,
that'd be the one.
That would be, and in a kilt. I have to be in a kilt. That's the real key. I have to be in a kilt.
You can be in a kilt, but nobody would know. It's a podcast.
Oh my gosh, fantastic! All right, let's get to our rants and raves, shall we?
Yes.
Where Joe and I go off in a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave, where something makes us feel like Did you see that picture of Kevin McCarthy laughing behind Jim Jordan? I know you haven't seen the news.
I haven't seen it.
Amazing
I've been
picture.
In the middle of the woods in North Carolina.
There's an amazing picture of Kevin McCarthy sitting behind Jim Jordan moments after he lost the vote, and Kevin McCarthy is doubled over in laughter. Like, he's clearly laughing at something someone just told him, and he's just doubled over. Yeah, and Jim Jordan's just sitting there like a sad sack. It's a great picture. So something that makes us feel like Kevin McCarthy is feeling, right after that second vote, or something that makes us feel like Jim Jordan is feeling after that second vote.
Can I just ask a question? I don't know the answer. Can Kevin McCarthy get voted in again?
He could be. But he's not going to be. But
I know he's not going to be, but it is possible. It's not like you're one and
he's
done.
not. No, he's not. You
can go back.
He's not. Yeah, okay. He's not precluded from running or being voted in again. And in fact, some people have said that there may be an opportunity for that. And in fact, he got quite a few votes.
He'd be in a very good position.
Yeah, I think he got like 15 or 16 votes, maybe something like that. He got votes in the last round. Yeah.
I'll have to. That's why I don't watch the news, though.
I only pay attention so I can make a joke on the show. That's what I.
That's good. Do. Yeah, that's the way to. That's the most important thing.
It is the most important thing for our audience.
Why don't you go first? And because mine's very quick, and we'll end strong.
Mine's pretty quick too. Mine's pretty quick too. It's basically this. So what we'll link to in the show notes is Search Engine Journal, but a few of the search engine publications are covering this, although they're the only ones seemingly to cover it. And it is that Google Ads, the headline is that Google Ads support for paywalled content in rich results test tool. It's a little bit geeky here, but basically what the deal is that it's designed for sites that have some sort of content paywall. And one of the tough things about content paywalls are whether or not your content is getting displayed in Google search results and whether or not it's clear that it's behind a paywall. So before you click on it in Google, is it going to be, is it just going to throw up basically some sort of reg form or paywall form before you can get to it, which can be frustrating for users. And more, obviously, publications are doing this. And so now the tool that Google is adding, basically, it supports. So there's things you can do on your site, basically with code that validates that paywall thing, so that basically even in the Google search result, it says, okay, now this is going to, this is a link to this content that against this search query, but it's behind a paywall. So you can make a decision about whether you want to click on it or not, or whether or not it's going to be part of your subscription if you subscribe to whatever it is. The interesting thing to me is that's fascinating. That's good. But I think there's a real opportunity here for B2B organizations and something that we can start looking at, because one of the biggest arguments that we often get into as businesses, and one that we always, get called in to try and settle, is the gated versus ungated content, because marketers, demand gen, SEO specialists want ungated content so that it gets spidered and gets displayed in Google search results, versus the gated, which of course is lead generation focused and getting data in exchange for that. And so as part of that strategy, a B2B organization could start to do this too, could start to build in gates that basically are much more Google friendly, so that when you see, you search for that best enterprise software in X, you see some amazing white paper, but it says basically there in the Google search results that it's going to be behind a paywall. And if it's behind that paywall, now if someone clicking into that and then moving, you can start to really get a lot more intent data from the way that happens. In other words, if you get an organic click from that link and then no form fill, well, then there's something wrong. They knew it was going in to be a form fill going in, but now what happened, right? So it's no longer a question of, well, were they just surprised by it being by and then they went away? Or is there something on the page that's actually not working on that paywall? Because that would seem to be the indicator if they knew coming in. So I think it's a really good strength for a B2B marketer as well, to put into that data markup, if you will. And again, it gets a little technical and geeky here, but your SEO specialist or your technology person could help with this. and really start to look at your gated content in B2B, very much like a paywall is on a New York Times or something like that. You're not asking for money, of course, you're asking for data in exchange, but it could be treated the same way. And I think it's just a really interesting tool for B2B marketing.
But you need somebody knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, you need to, well, in any event, you need somebody to know what they're doing, because this is basically saying that you need someone to know what you're doing on the news or publication side, because this is a new thing. But for B2B, it may be even more so.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, just I guess a rave, but more commentary than anything else.
No, I like it. I'll never do this, but but I appreciate that. It sounded too difficult. I read the article and I said
tricky. It does look tricky. I grant you, it looks tricky, but our audience is a sophisticated, geeky bunch. So if anybody can figure out, they can totally
eat this up. They will absolutely love it. All right. So mine, just a little side comment in addition to what we were talking about with Taylor Swift. So her Taylor Swift concert movie was number one in the box office over last week. Did almost $100 million at I think it was at 3,800 theaters. Number one on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I was interested in looking at how this happened. And my prediction for this, I'll tell you in a second. But just so everybody knows, Taylor Swift's dad spent between $10 and $20 million creating this thing. So owns all the rights to it, whatever. And then instead of, and you know more about this than I do, probably, instead of working as a traditional movie and going through all the 17 million channels to get a movie out and work through all the chains and whatever the case is and get your approvals, they went straight to AMC. They worked a deal out directly with AMC where Taylor and dad gets 57% of all the revenue and AMC gets 43% of all that revenue. So right, just on the first weekend, just do the math. First weekend, she made 55 million, whatever, $55 million versus so already made $35 million. Yeah. And now everything above is bonus. But what I think is interesting is you have a movie star, creator, however you want to call her, go outside the channels, work directly with an AMC, and AMC, by doing this, I'm sure they pissed off a lot of people by doing it, but because they did it, they're making more off of people, because from what I know about movie theaters, generally you make about 10 or 15% off the movies itself, and everything else you make is off the food and the drink.
Yes.
So you don't make a lot off the movies. So a 3x or 4x difference in revenue is huge for for a company like AMC. So my prediction is, I think that if this continues and more of these deals get done, it could realistically save the movie business in the form of AMC. Companies like AMC can now stay in business if they're taking out all the middle people and middle companies, and they can work directly with somebody like this. And I think that that's the movement you're starting to see, where, hey, and we've talked about it with book publishing. Why do I have to go through this book publisher to talk to this distributor, to talk to this third-party retailer?
Yeah.
Why can't I just work directly with the audience and cut out as many people as possible? And I think more and more creators are starting to think that way. But so hats off to Taylor. Who knows how much she's going to make off of this? And the interesting thing is, I read a couple of articles on this, and they are the analysts or sort of pundits that are looking at this deal would suggest that she could have made more money by going through the studios, because the studios would have marketed it better, right? Because as well as it didn't do as well as it was expected to. In terms of its opening, because of and a lot of that has to do with how good the studios are at marketing tentpole releases through this. But what they saved, obviously, was, so the interesting part is the calculus to do is, what's the differential, right? How much more would they have made if the studios had really marketed this versus themselves marketing it by going direct? And is that differential worth it, right? And I think I happen to believe, again, I don't have the data to support this hypothesis, but
it seems to me that I'll bet you you're right. In other words, that going direct is actually more profitable, even though it's less total revenue. And so it will be interesting to see that play out. The other thing that we'll have to remember, though, is the studios have, they have their foot on the neck of many of those theater chains, because all they have to do is basically say, hey, listen, they didn't do it because it was Taylor Swift and they didn't want the press, I'm sure. But all they have to do for someone else trying to do this is go, no, you're not going to do that. They're going to go through us, or you're not getting the new Tom Cruise movie, or you're not getting the new Star Wars, or you're not getting, basically, and that's
AMC probably got a lot of
all the time
because of it. Yeah, but the other thing is
all the time.
That's true, but the other thing is that you've got these movie chains going out of business. AMC is the biggest and almost only game in town now. I mean, all these other ones are going out of business because the revenue, the business model isn't viable, because you've got 17 companies taking a cut of everything, and by the end of it, it doesn't make any sense if you have a movie that comes in. It does $350 million at the box office, and you've got AMC saying that they're going bankrupt because they can't make, it makes no, there's something wrong.
Well, they have
in the calculation there.
We may be in the midst of a full-on evolution, when movie theaters evolved out of the penny arcades, right? And so, and the ways that those events, which those theaters had live events, and then they ultimately had cinematic events that had live orchestras and all those kinds of things. And then it, of course, evolved into movie theaters. And then we may be in the fundamental shift of those things coming back to sort of live venue events, some of which will be filmed, right? Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about this in the beginning, right? Where Taylor's movie is not really a movie. It's filmed, you watch a filmed performance, but it's really about being with the kids and dancing and holding your phones up and taking selfies and being with your friends. It's a live venue event.
Yeah.
And so we may start to see a lot. Beyonce, by the way, is going to do exactly the same thing here coming up with her new film. And so we may start to see an evolution of movie theaters into more live venue events. The Castro has up in San Francisco has been doing this for some time, as well as the one that we went to in Austin. I can never remember the name of it. The movie theater that does really cool, not only movies but live events too.
Boot you out if you text.
Yeah,
what's that called? Oh, people are screaming at their phones right now. Sorry,
that's right.
Can't remember. we're getting older.
And we are. Our memories are not. I forget things. Hello.
I'm old and I don't see so good.
That is correct.
I forgot my glasses. Where are my glasses?
Oh my gosh.
My shoes and my glasses.
My shoes
Turkey
and my
Boys
glasses.
Reference for those people
that's right.
That are old enough.
All right. What do you got this week? What's coming up? But you're still out of town.
Still out of town. I'll be heading back to town. We have our big night at the races coming up in a week and a half, which is for Orange Effect Foundation. We're doing a night at the races. We're expecting 300-400 people in attendance, and basically you bet on horses, simulcast horses that have already taken place, and it's a real fun event, and all of it goes to the Orange Effect kids, and we're really excited about it. So now we're in our last couple of weeks of doing that. So and by the way, I'll put it in the show notes. We're looking for if $20, $30 sponsors here and there. So if you can by chance support us, and I have to sell there's 90 horses that need names, and they don't have to be like safe for work names, but they have to be. So
I want in on that. I totally want in on that.
You can. There's already some very interesting names of people.
I totally want in.
So anyways, it's $20 to name a horse. So if you'd like to name a horse, we'll put it in the show notes. I think you can go to oefraces.com. oefraces.com will also get you there.
That's fun.
So that's what we're going to, and we're really excited about it, Robert. And you've been a great supporter of OEF over the years, but this is the first, as you know, non-golf fundraiser that we're really that we really feel has some.
I'm all in on this. So, this is totally fun. Yeah.
So you should come into town for it. It'd be Total fun.
Oh, maybe so.
All right. What do you got going on?
I'm speaking, I guess it'll be next week. I always get the dates screwed. I'm working on my presentation for Marketing AI Institute's, their agency summit. So I'm working on that, getting that presentation ready. That's really fun, talking about AI and agencies and what they can really do. And then other than that, it's work with clients. Clients are picking up. It's fourth quarter is.
You can feel it.
I can feel it.
Unused budgets.
Okay, budgets are coming back. People are wanting to do stuff. Yeah, we're just holding up the jazz hands, doing some defense here. So yeah, so it's all.
Next
about
time, I'm going to wear glittery gloves. I'm going to bring back my glittery gloves from high school show choir.
There you
go.
Do that. So, yeah, anyway. I like it. I like it. All right. Well, thank you very much for everybody. We so appreciate you being here. And until we see you next week, well, just remember it is your story to tell. Tell it well. We'll see you next week on This Old Marketing.